morning, everybody. Whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world, this is Coast to Coast. Got the full house today. What's happening, gentlemen?
Not too much.
Just another day in paradise. And I am live on Instagram for the first time.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Nice.
So, welcome, Instagram.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
starting it off with a bang.
You actually went through the process of doing the stream key and all that. I'm so inconsistent on that one.
Yes. So the hardest part about that is that the moment that you do the stream key, you don't close it and open it up again, because then you need a new stream key.
Exactly.
You have to keep it open and then go live. So it was like, all right, I did it and it's working. I see it. People are here. I appreciate it. So for those who don't know, this show, it's Coast to Coast.
Yep.
The guy right below me is from Houston, and he is a Cowboys fan. The guy cat-a-corner to me is from Green Bay, and he is a Vikings fan. And the guy right to the left of me is Bo, and he is from Seattle and a Seahawks fan. There we go. Now you know.
There we go.
We talk about everything from sports to life to a bunch of crap.
And everything in between.
A lot of that, yeah. That being said, there's a lot to talk
anyways.
about.
Today there's a lot more to talk about. So because I said that he was going to get fired, and he did.
Yeah, I mean, we all said that there was definitely a case for it. It was just whether or not Baltimore was actually going to do it.
Right.
Yeah. I think he just got stale. Harbaugh got stale in Baltimore.
They said that he lost the locker room in Baltimore this year.
Yeah.
Lamar kind of said that a lot of the players didn't believe in Harbaugh's scheme anymore, and that he would have been able to turn things around. So kind of when that happens, you know that the end is coming.
Oh yeah.
And if you look at the reports, yesterday too, it's not like they fired him. It said that Harbaugh and the Ravens mutually agreed to part ways. So I think it was kind of a little bit like Harbaugh's like, been here for 18 years, like maybe it's time for me to go somewhere else and kind of bring in a fresh face.
Yeah, so this is Rappaport's report on it.
Dramatic decision did not come about in the matter of minutes, Tom. It really was the product of several conversations between Eric DeCosta, the general manager, between John Harbaugh himself, between players, soliciting plenty of opinions from players, from coaches. And yes, it did seem like John Harbaugh himself, to my understanding, was surprised, felt he was in good standing, wanted to run it back with his current staff, including the offensive coordinator Todd Monken, including defensive coordinator Zach Orr, planned to be with the Ravens for years to come until he was informed that he is out. Now, as far as why John Harbaugh is out, among the reasons, it is not just they didn't go far enough in the playoffs. My understanding, after talking to several sources involved, is that simply Harbaugh lost the locker room.
That'll get you fired every time.
Yeah.
Like if you lose the locker room, it's not like they're going to fire all the players,
nor
could they. But if you lose the locker room, coaches get fired every time.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I guess the funny part about that was that there was conversation talking about how there was the potential of trading Lamar Jackson. And I'm like, no chance that they're going to trade Lamar Jackson. They're going to get rid of the coach. They're going to bring in a new coach, and they're going to see what they can make happen with that.
You're not getting rid of a two-time MVP that's still playing out of his mind. Like you're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But you could tell, I thought that you could see the writing on the wall, because Lamar Jackson would have played through certain injuries. He didn't feel like doing that this year.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And to a degree, Joe, you're not wrong. I feel like the coach that was on the wrong side of that last field goal had a real shot at getting fired, because I think Tomlin, if he missed the playoffs, would have had a real shot at getting fired also. Now, I'm not going to rule out the fact that he still might. Like, if they get bounced.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you think that there still might be an opportunity that he might get bounced? If
they get beat up by the Texans, absolutely. Right. There's a chance that he could still get fired. And I would say that's true for McDermott and Buffalo.
I think McDermott, unless Buffalo gets to the Super Bowl this year, I think McDermott's gone.
No,
you're at the case right now with Josh Allen. You don't have Lamar Jackson. You don't have Joe Burrow. You don't have Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs this year. The only quarterbacks that have beaten him are Jackson and Mahomes. If he doesn't get there this year, it's a matter of, if not now, are you ever going to get there?
Well, I would say, the argument that they've had.
Yeah, but Josh Allen isn't the Josh Allen even of last year.
He's not, no. Right. But it's still the same. It's still the fact that he doesn't have like those normal quarterbacks to go through this year in the playoffs, where like Buffalo is still a good enough team where they can make a deep playoff run. They're not like the same Buffalo of old because their defense is a liability this year, but they're still a good enough team where they can make a playoff run. So now it's like, if you can't get to the Super Bowl without Mahomes, without Lamar Jackson, without Burrow, are you ever going to get to that point, knowing that the Chiefs are going to bounce back eventually, knowing that the Ravens have a good shot to getting back in the playoffs next year, and if the Bengals can stay healthy, Bengals probably get in the playoffs too.
Yeah, no, I mean, like this is his best chance that he's had. He has to square off initially with Trevor Lawrence, that is playing the best football of his career, and a team that looks very balanced coming into this game. They're probably the best team in the AFC coming down the stretch, which, again, feels weird to say.
Yeah, it does feel weird.
Over the last 6 games, has 1 interception. Also weird to say. But, that's a tough first-round matchup for the Bills that require Josh Allen to be special to win games.
Right.
And, they can also use Cook. I mean, Cook is running the ball really well, though. I think they have a good run game to pair with him.
Yeah. I mean, their running game is the best in the league. So I mean, no question that the Bills, rushing attack is good. I mean, and they're 4th in scoring points and all of that. The thing is they're going against the Jags defense that is number 1 against the run. They're 8th as far as points allowed.
And they're second in turnovers. And Josh Allen is a turnover machine a lot of times too. And the Jaguars are second in the NFL in forcing turnovers.
Exactly. So this is going to be a fun game to watch. It's going to be, a battle, no question. And
you're right. And I suppose maybe with Denver's
over time is also a turnover machine. And the Bills defense is number 1 against the pass. So there could be a lot of turnovers in this.
I think it's supposed to be rain too in Jacksonville on Sunday, which would make it even more of a slop fest too.
Yeah.
And if Jacksonville does get out on Buffalo early, that could neutralize the run game if they had to go more pass heavy.
Not really, because Josh Allen still runs on his own. Like, you're never going to completely neutralize the Bills' rushing game just because Josh Allen runs enough on his own where he's still going to at least tuck it and run it at least 10, 15 times on his own.
Yep. Now, the Jags do come into this healthier. So, I mean, they have most of their complement of players. I do expect the Jags to win this game.
Right. And speaking of, I guess, the coaches.
When was the last time the Jags were in the playoffs, though? Was that like 3 years ago?
2022 or 2021, I believe, when the Chargers were up like 27-0, and the Jags came back and won that game like 36-30 in overtime.
Yeah.
So 3 or 4 years.
Yep. It was the second.
A lot of the players.
Doug Peterson's second year in Jacksonville.
Yep.
But I was going to say, a lot of those players have been not on this team.
I think the only 2 are Lawrence and Etienne. I think are the only 2 that are on at least on offense. I think it's Josh Allen on defense. Etienne and Lawrence are the only 3 starters left from that playoff team.
Well, I don't know. I think that the Bills will get past Jacksonville. I thought Jacksonville was the second best team in that division.
Mm-hmm.
I still think Houston is going to be.
Houston, I think, is the team to beat right now in the AFC because of their defense. That defense,
I mean,
scares the hell out of a lot.
Houston's going to beat up on the Steelers.
Yeah. Yeah. I fully expect that to happen.
Favorite.
Yeah.
A 3-point favorite there. I mean, it's going to take a lot by Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers is going to have to play out of his mind that game. And they have to get some separation on the receivers.
Hey, we'll get Metcalf back, so that's going to be nice.
He's going to need DK to actually run good routes.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the real question.
Yeah.
Because when you look at Houston's defense, I compare them a lot to the Eagles' defense last year, where the Eagles had a great pass rush with their front seven. Houston has an amazing pass rush with Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, and they have a third guy in there. I always space on his name, but they have 7 guys on their team that have at least 4 sacks. So you're getting pressure across the board from your front seven all over the place. But then you have Derek Stingley in their secondary, which is the best secondary in the NFL right now. Like,
they literally have all three
levels just completely like loaded and locked.
Yeah,
like that's what the Eagles were last year. Like the Eagles had the front seven, which would get after the quarterback and force the pressure, and then they had a secondary last year that could turn the ball over pretty much at any time. Obviously, this year the Eagles secondary hasn't turned teams over like they did last year, and defensively they've been solid, but they haven't been like the level they were at last year. They're still a great defensive team in Philadelphia, but like Houston reminds me a lot of that Eagles defense last year, where all 3 levels, you just look at all 3 levels and you're like, there's not a hole here, there's not a hole here, there's not a hole here.
And they have a great defensive head coach too. And
D'Amico Ryan. Yep.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of knowledge over there, which I feel like it's like when the Ravens, when Harbaugh won it, when he had the great defenses. If you have a good defense, a solid run game, and a pretty good pass game, you don't have to have an elite, but a pretty good pass game, you can win Super Bowls. And I feel like that's a good formula for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, though, there was. Houston does a little bit more on the blitzing side, than the Eagles.
Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter,
and that's going to be a difference. Yeah. So when you say the front seven, the Eagles were really great with the front.
They got pressure from the inside. Yeah, they got pressure from the inside with the Eagles versus Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson are like blitzing almost every play.
Yeah. And they're tough to stop.
It's going to be interesting to see that game, like in total. I'm excited for it.
It could be there. Yeah. Depending on how things shake out, you could have a scenario this year where it could be a Houston-Jacksonville AFC Championship game. Which if anybody put money on that in the beginning of the season at a casino and cash that bet in, they'd be making a lot of money that Sunday.
Right. Yeah, that'd be like a 10,000 to 1 bet at the beginning of the season.
That would be insane.
That would be
insane.
You'd be cashing out.
Yeah, you're damn right.
Speaking of the head coaching fires that have gone on the last 48 hours, basically, it does look like we have at least some clarity on 4 of the guys that have been fired. And some of the teams that let him go. So it looks like Harbaugh is the favorite for the Giants job, which he visits tomorrow. Tennessee,
which again is the most attractive job. Like a lot of young talent, top 5 pick, makes sense.
Atlanta's bringing in Kevin Stefanski tomorrow, which makes a ton of sense because of Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins had a bunch of success with Kevin Stefanski in Minnesota, so that makes a ton of sense on Atlanta's end to bring in Stefanski. Right.
And that's the other job that's relatively attractive because of the amount of talent that's on the team. So I look at those two of Harbaugh, Stefanski. They're going to go to one of those 2 jobs because it could be the other way around. Yep. But yeah, I expect Harbaugh in New York and Stefanski in Atlanta.
Atlanta's also expected to hire the Bears assistant GM Ian Cunningham.
Okay.
Who's interviewed for GM jobs the last 2 or 3 seasons, I believe. And with Matt Ryan being the president now, or expected to be the president now in Atlanta, he played college football with the current Bears general manager, Ryan Poles. So I have a feeling that Matt Ryan's going to be like, hey, Ryan, just do me a solid here. Let me bring in Ian Cunningham, and sorry, but you're not going to get him back. Brian Flores, I believe, is expected to interview for the Raiders Monday. which I think if a team is going to give Brian Flores an opportunity, I think the Raiders are the best fit and the best opportunity for him, just because he'll bring kind of that no-nonsense attitude into the Raiders, which is something I think they've been lacking over there. And with that being said, Minnesota is in talks right now with Raheem Morris, basically to replace Brian Flores as the defensive coordinator if Brian Flores leaves. Raheem Morris has previous relationship with Kevin O'Connell back with their days with the Rams.
Yeah, but I heard Raheem Morris was also going to talk about the head coaching job in Titans.
Yeah, he's interviewing with the Titans on Friday. But Kevin O'Connell and Morris have already kind of been talking too about defensive coordinator spot if Brian Flores leaves in case Morris doesn't get hired as a head coach again.
I like that Frankie's in full-on hater mode today.
Wait a minute. This Frankie every day is full-on hater mode. Right. I don't think he has an off switch.
Oh, the other interesting kind of coach tidbit was Cleveland. It doesn't look like Cleveland might even bring in a lot of candidates to interview. They might actually consider just promoting Jim Schwartz from the defensive coordinator up to the head coach.
Yeah, and I know that both of our coordinators are interviewing for head coaching jobs also.
Yeah.
So
I had a feeling that they were going to possibly interview Dion.
Oh.
That sounds like a Cleveland thing to do, doesn't it?
It does. I just don't know if Dion would want that headache going to Cleveland.
I mean, he didn't have a particularly good year. So, like, if there was ever a time to make the switch, this could be it.
Could you see him going to Dallas as a defensive coordinator? Now that Eberflus got fired?
No. Who are we talking about? Deion Sanders?
Yeah, pay him head coach money to be a DC. And
no way. If
Schottenheimer doesn't work,
he's not a defensive coordinator. He's only a head coach. He's not going to be able to do a coordinator's job.
Exactly. Yeah, he's good at assembling a team, not necessarily being the guy.
What about Dion to the Giants? If Harbaugh doesn't get the job?
Nope.
No.
You don't think so?
No. He's got to go to a team that has a level of dysfunction.
Tennessee. Tennessee gets dysfunction.
It's going to be the Browns. No, but the Giants are actually set up in a way to finally move forward.
No, I said Tennessee's got dysfunction. Like
Tennessee, I don't think he would do that. I think because he wants the spotlight, right? So he's either going to go to the Browns because then it's going to be him and his kid, and it's going to get cameras on it all the time, or Dallas was bad enough that if he said he was available, I could see that disaster happening. Again, I'm here for it. Like, I got the popcorn ready. Let's go. But yeah, I don't think he actually comes to the NFL, at least not yet.
What about Dion to the Raiders?
That has a little bit more credence than anything else. Like, I think it would be Browns first, Raiders second. Because I could see that, like, the problem with that is that if I am Tom Brady and I am the one now going to call the shots over, bowl cut owner, I would, if I'm going to hire Deion Sanders, I need to make sure that I have the best coordinators in the business around him. Because if you're going to hire Sanders, what he does bring is enthusiasm and motivation. Those are the two things that he's got going for him. Beyond that, it becomes more of the X's and O's part. You need to have the right people around you. In college, you can fake it some because talent will win games over top of coaching. Just because if you have the better players, you're going to win a lot of times in college. That doesn't work in the pros the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that you would need to have really high-end coordinators. Similar to the way that the Eagles have done it with defensive coordinator. You want a defensive coordinator who is not going anywhere, who's going to stick around, and doesn't need to be a head coach anymore, wants to just do what he does and end his career in one spot. And trying to find that for both like offensive coordinators, the problem is that they all aspire to be head coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Where defensive coordinators don't necessarily need to. Just my opinion. So, Kevin Stefanski, though, I mean, like when I think about him going to another head coaching job right away, I'm like, wow. I mean, I understand that, we're just going to chalk up that Cleveland stinks as a franchise, and anybody who's a part of that franchise gets a pass. You don't get a pass, though. He took that franchise on, saying that he was going to be the change that they needed. Well, guess what? He didn't change crap.
I mean, in his defense,
the thing with that is he didn't want the quarterbacks that they kept giving him. So he didn't want the Deshaun trade. They forced it on him.
Yeah.
He didn't want Shador. They forced it on him. Gabriel was his guy. He didn't get to continue with him. Flacco, he wasn't particularly in favor of. So when you have the most important position on your team and you never get the guy that you want, it's tough. And of course, at the end, you could just tell that, again, I think he wanted to get fired.
Yeah, he looked defeated.
I mean,
looked defeated.
What a lot of people don't realize about Stefanski either is he won Coach of the Year twice in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So, like, when he had a competent quarterback, and that was obviously when he had Baker Mayfield, when he got the Coach of the Year honors.
Yeah.
He was a good coach in Cleveland. So, give the guy a reliable quarterback and actually somebody he wants to work with.
I
He's
mean,
actually shown that he can be a coach.
He didn't want Baker either, though.
He didn't want Baker. He didn't want Baker to leave the way Baker left.
I mean, he's the only coach that has brought them to the playoffs in the last 18 years, and he did it twice.
And he won a game too, and almost beat Kansas City the other time.
I get why you say you don't get a pass because you got to do whatever in the location you're in.
Yeah.
But there's a reason that team has a jersey with 40 quarterback names on it, and have gone through tons of coaches, and I mean, the dysfunction is from the top.
Right. That's why, I think him going to Atlanta, if he's still paired with Kirk Cousins, I think that's a good fit for him just because they've had that success in the past when they were in Minnesota together. And it's kind of a very similar situation like when he had Baker Mayfield. Obviously, Mayfield was younger, but he can design that offense around Kirk Cousins versus last year the offense was built around Michael Penix. You bring in Stefanski, it's like, I still have Cousins here. We can tweak the offense a little bit to still maximize Bijan's potential, but still play it to the strengths of Cousins.
Yeah, but what strengths does he have now? I mean, Cousins is now 38.
Mm-hmm. He's still a quarterback that can throw the deep ball. So all you got to pretty much do is just give him some protection up front.
You know what? Atlanta's been down this road. This is the other thing that I can take. Like Atlanta did this with Matt Ryan, kept him 3 years too long. You know what I mean? He was past his prime.
I mean,
this is the same thing with Cousins. He's past his prime.
Yeah, they're going to use Penix. They're going to keep Cousins there because he's going to cost them a bunch of money this next year. But, I mean, Penix is their guy moving forward. They're going to have to do something with the offensive line, right? Like they got to make that better. And then I would bet that whatever coach goes in there probably remembers they have a running back more than half the time.
Right.
So.
And a Pro Bowl tight end.
Yeah, that actually played like a Pro Bowl tight end in the final 4 games.
Exactly. So, I mean, there was so much wrong with that team because that's an easy division to win.
It is.
So the fact that they just mismanaged that team the way they did, obviously everybody should get fired. If Stefanski goes down there, I can't imagine he's going to be that bad, right? Like he could be every bit as bad as he was with Cleveland, and it would still be an upgrade for Atlanta.
And then try to win. He could, if he coached the same way he did in Cleveland, I think Atlanta wins 10 games, and then they win that division by 2 games.
Exactly.
Is anyone surprised that the Bengals haven't fired their GM?
No. Well, the GM, yes, not the coach.
No, I'm talking about the GM.
I
don't get what they're doing at all. Right? Like I thought Zach was going to get fired with the GM just as collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they're bringing everybody back makes absolutely no sense because you're bringing back a GM that gave you no opportunity to win. Like you have the worst defense in the league.
This goes right back to the way they treat their stadium. When it snowed in the stadium and they didn't have anybody clear the snow, like people got really bitter about it. Like opposing fans got really bitter about that. And the NFL just lets it go because every other stadium in the NFL has to get their snow cleared. But the Bengals get away with it because they have the cheapest owners in the NFL. So as long as they have a contract with these guys, they're not going to pay two guys because they don't want to, because they're cheap. Because this is a guy who pinches his pennies rather than tries to win games.
Right.
One, even when you look at, how big the contracts are for the three guys they signed, if you look at T. Higgins' structure, it's almost all incentive based. So it still hits the cap the same way, but he doesn't get that money, right? Like he has to ball out every year to get his money. So even when they're signing a big contract, it's like, yeah, well, maybe you get it.
Oh,
yeah, it's the old guy with the dollar. You're like, oh, almost had it.
Oh, you almost had it. I felt bad the way they did. I felt bad the way the 49ers did Bourne on that incentive type stuff. I think what did he need? 9 yards, 10 yards, something like that. And he could get that one. He had one target, and that was it. I felt bad for him. I'm like, come on.
Who is the ownership of the Bengals?
What's his name?
Is it Paul?
Something like Brown? Is it like Paul Brown or something like that?
I thought it was Paul Brown.
Could be.
The
Brown family. I don't know the Paul Brown.
Mike Brown.
Or Mike Brown. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. This is a future prediction.
Okay.
Travis Kelce will one day purchase the Cincinnati Bengals.
I can see that because they have roots there, him and Chase, right? So I can see. You think the brothers would go into it together?
I would not be surprised if they do that at one point. Like Travis, I could see that occurring, and I could see that occurring in probably 7 years. It's not going to be something that happens fast. Right. You have to have a coup in Cincinnati for that ownership, and they haven't had it yet, but they're getting closer and closer.
I can see.
Hey, do you think Taylor Swift would take a stake in that too, with all the money she has? And
I mean,
where do you think that money's going to really come from?
You're going to have
exactly.
Anyway. It'll be a group of people because every franchise is multi-billion-dollar franchises now.
I can see a situation kind of like how the Minnesota Vikings are, where they're owned by the Wilf family, but you have the two brothers, Ziggy, and I always forget what his other brother are. They're the CEO and the president of the Vikings. I can see a situation where Jason and Travis Kelce buy into the Bengals, and they're kind of like a president and CEO tandem, and just kind of run.
I don't know that. I tell you, I disagree with that thought process. I think that Jason is going to and has been working on becoming a minority owner partnership with the Eagles. And I think that they're going to own two separate franchises. I don't believe that they're going to own one together. And I think it because at one point it will be the Bengals versus the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
And although Jeffrey Lurie would be the main owner, you would have the minority ownership of that, and maybe consider the minority ownership of the Bengals being Kelce. But that's how it's going to be, owner versus owner type thing. That's a better story and I think that that's more likely to happen. Listen, I know that they do a lot together. You know what I mean? They have the podcast together. I mean, Travis Kelce bought into Six Flags, and so did Jason because Travis jumped in. Travis decided to buy in on Garage Beer. Jason jumped on his coattails. There's a lot of things that they do together, but I do not believe this will be something that happens together. I feel that this is going to be the legacy left for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. That's how I think that would happen. Just my opinion.
It'd be interesting. It would certainly help the Bengals.
Well, I think that's where they're at now.
Right.
Like you have an ownership that's acting very cheap, and that trickles down. You know, it's this the ownership of the Bengals is very similar to the ownership of the Oakland, Sacramento, Las Vegas Athletics. You know what I mean? That's what you've got. Now the NFL makes a lot more money, so it's you can't give the pass to the Cincinnati Bengals ownership that you can almost to that ownership of the Athletics. Although I feel that again, you are what you make of it.
Right.
And the Athletics ownership sucks. Tampa's ownership, they don't ever have people go in there, but they have one of the best farm systems in the league. They can cultivate talent really well. They can go ahead and put a team out there that actually can compete and maybe get into the playoffs. You know what I mean? So it's like, and it's the same amount of money that they're making. So I don't want to hear it. Like, I think it becomes a matter of, when Cincinnati gets pissed off enough, when the fans get pissed off enough, that's when you are going to start to see some change. And I believe that the ownership group is going to be headed by Kelce and Swift.
Yeah, see, I could see that. And again, I mean, I would imagine their fans would love that.
Oh, 100%. I mean, just the thought of them buying it would probably add a new vigor to that, to that whole enterprise over there. The problem is that Joe Burrow is going to be gone.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
And see, that's the thing with Zach Taylor. Like, I get the thought process behind firing Zach
All
Taylor,
of them, Cam.
firing Zach Taylor as collateral damage, like Bo said. But at some point, you can't blame Taylor for what has happened with that team. Obviously, he has no control over Joe Burrow getting hurt, and he sure as hell doesn't have control over a GM that has failed to address the defense for 5 years and has failed to address the offensive line for 5 years. Like, Zach Taylor's just standing there like, okay, we have a franchise quarterback. Like, we could use a little money to protect him here. We could use a little money on the other side of the ball so our franchise quarterback doesn't have to put up 45 points. But, hey, you want to keep paying me to finish 6-7 wins every year, I'll stay here for a little bit, I guess.
Well, this is the last year of his contract, right?
I think he's got one more after this yet. I think it's 2027. I think is when his contract is up.
I guess. Well, like I said, they don't like to pay two people at once. They don't fire somebody and continue to pay them. So, yeah, and you can't cut a coach like you can a player.
Right.
Yeah, trust me, because if it worked like that, Jerry Jones would not have lasted 30 years as a GM with anybody else.
Yeah, so Zach Taylor's contract runs through the 2020 season or 2027 season, following his 2022 AFC Championship. He signed an original extension that took him through 2026, but then added another year onto that extension based on how the team finished last year.
Yeah,
because they finished the season so strong last year, they gave him that extra year, so now he signed through 2027.
And Cam, why he doesn't get the bulk of the blame is he's trying to coach a situation where he has 3 high-paid guys, no offensive line, and a defense that is the absolute worst in the league. A defense that, despite Hendrickson, is still making less as an entire unit than the 3 offensive players they signed. So I can't put a ton of hate on Taylor just because they didn't give him the tools to win with. Now, I'm not saying that the GM doesn't get him fired anyway. Like, you still have to win in this league. So I just don't know how the Bengals look at what they've had and be like, let's run that back. Like,
I mean, the proof is in like what the results are. When Joe Burrow is healthy, that is one of the better teams in the AFC because of their offense. Even, I'm not saying they have to have an elite defense, but even like mediocre defense,
competent.
Yeah, like even mediocre defensive play, like if they would be ranked in the 20 to 22 range, even like they're dead last for the most part every single year, but if they were even ranked in that 20 to 22 range, they're winning 10 games minimum every single year because of that offense.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have to have an elite defense. They just have to have a defense that can get 1 or maybe even 2 stops a game where they don't give up a touchdown.
I imagine you mean McDaniel here.
Yeah.
If you're talking about Miami, and they said he's safe also. And you did fire the GM.
Yeah, final year of his deal, though, is 2026, so we'll see how safe he is.
Exactly.
The
But
rest of the offseason unfolds.
no, so you are talking McDaniel, and no, he changed our entire defense.
Yeah. He built it like the Baltimore defenses he used to have in Baltimore. Like, that's what he did with Seattle's defense.
No, exactly. He switched that entire personnel. So almost everybody that was on the roster completely is gone. Whether it's offense, defense, doesn't matter. It's coaching and GM.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you got to have personnel. Mm-hmm. And so they moved the personnel that wasn't winning out of the building.
Right.
That's your GM. Now you have to coach those players for sure, but you can't just keep the same bad guys and expect them to somehow be better. Like, yeah, coaching matters, but if you just lack talent, you're going to lose to more talented teams.
Like the coaching aspect that Cameron's kind of talking about right now. I mean, look at Kyle Shanahan, for example, in San Francisco. When Kyle Shanahan's team is healthy, look at the level of play that the 49ers put together.
Yep.
Kyle Shanahan was on the hot seat last year because the 49ers were dog crap last year. Basically, every single one of his starters on offense and defense at one point were getting hurt. Shanahan is a great head coach, but if you're losing more bodies than you can like put back into your team, coaching is only going to get you too far because you're not going to have all this unlimited depth.
Listen, the difference between Shanahan last year and this year and the year before that is CMC. That's it.
Yeah,
that's all. Healthy. Until he got CMC, he was middle of the road.
Yep.
Right.
So once you got CMC, then all of a sudden things got great. He got great. He brought him all the way to the NFC Championship game. He didn't have anybody to quarterback, but they got him all the way there. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, once you stop him, when you stop CMC, and you're going to find out this Sunday, when you stop CMC, that team goes nowhere. That team goes nowhere. They used to have Deebo Samuel. They used to have Ayuk. They used to have other weapons. They don't have them now. It's only CMC. And so you got a tight end who does help things. You know what I mean? But he's got to block most of the time, and then he slips out on occasion. Yeah. So
I mean,
the good thing is that you forget about it by the fourth quarter.
But you got Parasol and you got Jennings. I mean, those are two pretty good running or wide receivers.
You guys are 22nd against the run. It's not like you guys are a juggernaut stopping the run.
Like the 49ers this year, though, their defense has not been great this year either. Like the 49ers have not been a good defensive team this year, despite having Robert Saleh back there. Like their defense, you look at what the Bears game a couple weeks ago. The Bears torched that defense. They don't have
the difference on our run defense. The whole difference on our run defense is all around Nakobe Dean.
Mm-hmm.
When Nakobe Dean's not in there, the run defense is no good. The moment that he gets in there, he actually is the one that calls the plays that be able to stop the run. And that's why Zach Vaughn looks so great when the Kobe Dean's there, and he's just good when he's not there. Vaughn is a great player, but he needs that help, and the Kobe Dean is the help. That's the difference. The problem is if the Kobe Dean gets hurt, that's the end of that run defense, and you go back to 22nd. So yes, I agree with you. We have a problem stopping the run, but that all centers around the Kobe Dean, because when he's in there, those teams don't run for 100 yards.
And what Cameron just said right there, how they've been injured, that is exactly the kind of response I'm going to give to Zach Taylor. Robert Saleh is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, and he's proven that time and time again when he's been the defensive coordinator. But if you are losing all these defensive players left and right, it's not going to matter how good of a defensive coordinator you are if you don't have the bodies to kind of refill the spots that you're losing with injuries. And the bodies that you're throwing in there are obviously not going to be as good as your starters. They're obviously not going to be as good as your second stringers. You can still coach them up, but if the talent isn't what the top two players are, it's not going to matter. And that's what, like Zach Taylor. When you're losing Joe Burrow, you don't have that.
Cam's thing here is like, oh, the Niners have been injured. And yeah, their defense shows the fact that they're injured, right?
Yeah,
their pass rush is non-existent.
And you can't.
As soon as they lost their two main pass rushers, all of a sudden they have one of the worst pass rushes in the league.
And you're not going to fire Robert Saleh because
it's just you don't have dudes on your roster that are as good as Bosa and Warner.
And you're not going to fire Saleh because of that, because Saleh has no control over the injuries. He has no control over who plays after somebody gets hurt, because if he throws in somebody behind Bosa and then that person gets hurt, what is Saleh supposed to do? He's like, well, picking straws now. I guess you're the next man up. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, you got to coach him up as best you can, but at the end of the day, like, talent does matter.
Yeah.
Like if your most talented guys go down, I don't care how much coaching you have. The guy behind Bosa isn't Bosa.
Mm-hmm. The guy behind that guy that's backing up Bosa isn't the guy behind Bosa.
Exactly.
Well, hey, listen, you have the best in the league, and then you have everybody else.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's how that works. You know what I mean? It's
so let me ask you this:
with our offensive linemen, when you have Johnson in there, he's the best in the league. Then you have everybody else. It's you wonder why he doesn't. It's not the same. Well, because you have the best, and then you have somewhere else.
Yeah.
So what's more important though, culture or talent? If you had to put one, what would you rather have, culture or the talent?
For football, and how far of a drop off of talent are we talking?
Right.
I mean, if you're talking the best in the league versus middle of the road, I'll take culture. If you're talking best in the league versus whatever the Bengals are running out there, yeah, give me the best. But yeah, I mean, if you're talking a middle of the road versus culture, I'll take culture all day, because football is a true team sport. It's not like it's basketball where you can have two guys take over and dominate a game, or baseball. If you have a couple of great pitchers, you can really win a lot. For football, you got 22 guys that need to do their job at an elite level together.
Right.
So if I have a middle of the road talent, but an elite culture, I'll take that all day.
Right.
Yeah, because I always felt the culture was the most important part of it. Because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have a winning culture or a winning way of doing things, you can still have wasted talent. I feel like sometimes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, and Frankie, this is a good example. Vrabel has built an incredible culture there. They do have some talent, but they have an incredible culture. I would say the same thing is true for Detroit, right? Dan Campbell has built a great culture there. And even when everybody's hurt and you lose stuff, obviously they had a down year, but they still played their butts off for him.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but that's where you see some of the difference. How culture can win some of these games over, like they had great coaching as well last year. And that's how they were able to get to the divisional round and to get the number 1 seed. The problem with that is that everybody's hurt. Eventually, it all catches up to you.
Exactly.
It's like you can't. Eventually, when you have the culture and the talent, like Washington had a good culture last year, This year, everybody was hurt. The culture changed.
Yeah.
They weren't as excited about things. They weren't as gung-ho. Detroit, along those same lines, believed up to a point, and then all of a sudden there was a drop-off. They stopped believing, and then they lost those 3 games or 4 games in a row. And that's really what it came down to.
I don't know if they necessarily stopped believing. I think it just got to the point where they have 97 injuries the last 2 years. And I think it just got to the point where all these players were just kind of mentally frustrated where they're like, we have the talent to be one of the best teams in the NFC. We have the coaching staff to be one of the best teams in the NFC, but we just can't stay healthy. And I think it just got to the point where it just got mentally draining, where it's like, it's one of those years.
You start to get doubt. That's what happens.
It's like they're like, this just isn't our year. Like, no matter what we do, like, somebody gets hurt and there's nothing we can do to change that. But when you have 97 injuries in 2 years, that is a ridiculous amount of injuries.
It's insane.
It is. Like, I don't understand how a team that has had that many injuries in back-to-back years. And everyone says it's the training staff, but this isn't training staff injuries. These are like torn ACLs, torn Achilles, like torn pecs. Like, a lot of this stuff is not training staff related. They're just injuries that you're going to have eventually, but they're all happening at one time.
Yeah, no, they've definitely had some bad luck as well. I mean, there's no question. So, and unfortunately for them, they're kind of at the end of their rookie windows on a lot of these players. So they really look like they missed their shot, because now this roster is going to end up seeing a lot of turnover because a lot of these contracts are coming due.
I think next year is their make or break year, because Jahmyr Gibbs will be in year 4, which is the final year before you get that 5th-year option.
Yep.
We're going to pick up Jamison Williams' 5th-year option, so you'll have those 2 will still be on the rookie deal yet. And the Lions are going to have a 4th-place schedule next year because they finished last place in the NFC North. So if they're going to make one more push, next year is going to be that year, just because they have Gibbs still on his rookie deal. They still have Williams on his rookie deal. And it might be next year where it's like, we're going to push all our chips to the table this year, knowing that we're going to have to pay Gibbs and some of these guys in 2027.
I mean, that's what we're going to have to do.
Plus, you don't have it as bad. You do go a season off when you lose these players, because, all right, so if he was to lose Gibbs and they were to lose Williams, they're going to go for good money. So they're going to get the compensation back. Yep. That 3rd-round pick, or, that 4th-round pick and what have you, you get those back now. That's why the Eagles have done so well, because they choose the people that they know that they're going to lose, that are going to wind up getting a tremendous amount of money. And that means, okay, we're going to get a 3rd-round pick for that. That's why they get like all these 3rd-round picks. They get like all these guys that they wind up losing in free agency, and they get the compensatory picks.
And I have a feeling that now that Dan Campbell fired his offensive coordinator after 1 year, I'm not going to be surprised if a guy like Antoine Randall L., who was the Lions wide receiver coach in Detroit, and he's now in Chicago as, I think, the Bears wide receiver coach. I'm not going to be surprised if Campbell tries to bring him back to Detroit and put him back on his staff and be like, you played a very important role in our offense 2 years ago with Ben Johnson. Just come back here, kind of instill what you were doing when you were here the first time, and let's just try to roll out something better than we had this year. Because losing the staff members that Campbell lost last year did hurt the Lions this year too. And I think Campbell realizes, like, we need to at least try to get 1 or 2 of those guys back, whether you get one from Johnson's staff and then one from Aaron Glenn's staff, and try to bring some of that continuity back.
Well, and that's where I feel that that's why he got rid of his offensive coordinator after 1 season, because they stopped believing. That's again, they did not have belief in the system. So because of that, you saw the drop off. In points. I mean, because they were scoring a lot of points, and then all of a sudden they stopped scoring points. And when you do that, it didn't have anything to do with injuries. You lost an offensive lineman or whatever, and the offensive line wasn't playing as great as it was the previous year. But there was a severe drop-off in the amount of points that they were scoring. And that was because – and I feel like that goes back to the culture. That's where you start to say, okay – If the culture is this way, and we are all in belief, when you got everybody pushing in the same direction, then you can move the mountain. When you don't have everybody believing, when you only have certain people and you're not getting the full message across, that goes back to the coaching part. You got to make sure that the coach can prove that this team can still do it, and have them all believing, because that's how they got that's how they got the number 1 seed last year. They were hurt. They had 118 guys missed games. At one point, I think they had 2 guys that played like 7 games on their defense.
Week 16 last year, the Lions came into that game with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, and Jahmyr Gibbs as the only 3 players that were on the opening week starting 22. The other 19 players in week 16 were injured. Even if it was like a 1-game thing, whether it was like a concussion, they had 19 different starters for that week 16 game last year. I'm like, the fact that the Lions are still sitting here at 15-2 and you're basically reshuffling 2 entire different starting lineups was impressive.
Oh yeah.
And so the worst thing that happened was that they got the number 1 seed. Because you're rolling, you stopped, and now you got to pick it back up again, and you ran into a team who, in the opposite way, hey, you just got brand new ownership, you've got a coach that's got you guys believing, and now you're the belief. The problem with that ownership is that I know what that ownership's like, because that they're flash in the pan. All they care about is the money. They don't care about anything else because they own the Sixers. And that's all it is. It's like they don't care enough to actually invest in the culture. They only care about what the dollar signs bring. But because they just got rid of the idiot Dan Snyder, well, the whole world just changed. So, hey, we feel better about ourselves. We're great. Well, now you saw this year, they didn't have the resources. This guy got hurt. Oh, I'm not trying to get back as hard. I'm not trying to do this as well. Yeah, and they're back to being the dreck of the league or the dreck of the division. But the Giants beat them for that too.
And Frankie, does Dallas have culture or talent? I would go with neither.
There's talent on the Cowboys, but the culture. I would say this culture. I mean, I think Schottenheimer did a good job. But they lost a lot. They don't have a pass rush. I mean,
I don't think it's a bad culture. I just think there isn't one.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that culture is stale. Is the problem. That's the issue that you've run into. Before, for a little while, they wanted to be the bad boys. We're going to bring in guys and give them second chances, and that's how we're going to try to get it. We're going to try to get our swagger back by bringing in bad boys. Now you've got an owner who is more apt to fight with the players on the field than coddle them. And in this day and age, we are at the point now where these guys need to get petted more than they need to get bitched at. And that's the difference in the ownership group. You know what I mean? I feel like Dallas could be better than they were. They're not, because of the things that have happened in the upper, like in the front office, rather than what's happening on the field. I think what's happening in the front office is playing out on the field. That's why I say that I never want Jerry Jones to die. I want him to stay there. He is the richest owner in the NFL, so he's got a lot of pull in that regards in general. So he's going to always have that pull. His son's not going to have that pull. But that's the reason why Jerry stays in charge of everything. But he hasn't learned how to change with the times. Yeah. And that's part of the problem that the Cowboys are running into right now. And then on top of that,
Yeah.
then you have an Eagles team that's doing really well. You know what I mean? So it's like it adds some fuel to the fire for Cowboys fans in general. Listen, one has nothing to do with the other. You know what I mean? The Eagles just so happen to be doing well when the Cowboys are not doing well. You know, and I would rather things are a lot more exciting when both teams are great.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
everything fights better. When the Giants are in the mix, that makes it even better. When the NFC East is at its peak, the NFL is at its peak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I believe that. It doesn't have the same effect when the NFC West has that. You know what I mean? It's like it's not as exciting. No offense to the West,
Bo,
but it
Bo,
just
he called
doesn't
you
have that same play.
unexciting. Bo, he said you're basic. Nothing special. Kroger brand.
Well, I mean, better hope to get out of the first round then, so you can stay excited.
hey! You are the big K of the Sprite family.
The big K.
Great value.
That's right. That's right. The value brand. Let's go. Awesome.
So.
Yep. I don't know. I am looking forward to all the games this weekend, though. There's going to be some good ones. There's going to be some not good ones.
I honestly think the best game of the weekend could be the Bills and Jags, just because you have one team that's really good against the pass and one team that's really good against the run, and that when you usually put that up against each other, it usually has the recipe to have a high-scoring game because usually that's when neither defense shows up.
Yeah, no, like it's going to be that one's going to be a fun one to watch. I'm actually really interested in the San Fran Eagles game.
I think Rams and Panthers just going to be ugly.
Yeah, I think the Rams beat up the Panthers pretty good.
Even though the Panthers did beat the Rams at Carolina about a month ago.
Yeah, I think that's why the Rams beat them up. Plus, they get Devontae Adams back. Packers Bears.
It's a rivalry game, so it's going to be a good game. It's just I think it's going to be sloppy.
So the Bears are the better roster, so it'll just be whether or not the Packers get in their head.
I mean, Jordan Love hasn't played in like 3 weeks, so he'll have some rust on him. You have the Bears, who both times they played the Packers, they scored like a total of 3 points in the first half.
No, that's what I mean. Is the Packers are in the Bears' head, but there's no reason for the Bears to lose that game.
Right.
Agreed. The fact that the Packers are the favorite in that game amazes me.
They're the favorites for two. They're the favorites for two reasons. Reason one is you have the history side of this rivalry, where every time the Packers have played the Bears in the playoffs, or they've played the Bears in a meaningful game, like to get to the playoffs, the Packers come out on top. And you have like a quarterback that has playoff experience in Love versus a quarterback who doesn't have playoff experience in Caleb Williams. But the other reason why they're favorite is they basically said like Matt LaFleur is coaching for his job, where if he wants to be back in Green Bay next year, he needs to make a deep playoff run and have no more of these one and dones. And when they say a deep playoff run, it's pretty much NFC Championship game or Super Bowl, or Matt LaFleur is probably gone.
Joe, I would not take the points. The 10.5 is too much for me.
Yeah. So yeah, if Matt LaFleur is coaching for his job, it kind of sees like, oh, he's going to pull out like all the tricks that he needs to pull out to try to at least get to the NFC Championship game. Because if he doesn't get to that point this year, it's pretty much a done deal that he's probably not coming back.
Yeah, I don't know. With Parsons going down and stuff, I think there's enough going in his favor to get another year. The Chargers-Patriots game, that one is going to be interesting just because it's going to tell us a lot about both those teams.
I just don't trust Herbert in the playoffs.
I don't believe either team is real. So this game will tell us a lot about both teams. And then the Texans, I think, beat up on the Steelers.
Yeah.
So that being said, that gets us to the top of the hour. If you are watching along with us, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our content to you. Otherwise, we are going to get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy, everybody.